Hi there, welcome to this video. I will be showing you how to integrate AI into your Kotlin project using a very simple library, Replicate-Kotlin. Now, what is Replicate-Kotlin? As you see on my screen, basically Replicate-Kotlin enables you to interact with cloud-based generative AI from your Kotlin code. And using this library, you can perform tasks like image generation, image editing and manipulation, audio transcription, audio generation and manipulation. And not to forget, you can also implement text generation, just like what you have on ChatGPT. Now, for this particular demo or this particular video, we will be integrating a replicate for image background removal. So that is what we'll be doing, and I will walk you through it. Already I have a sample project which I have built, so I will walk you through the code and the different steps to achieve background removal from an image. The first step will be to install Replicate-Kotlin on your Android project. So first, copy the Gradle dependency and head on to Android Studio. You can include yours here on the app level build.gradle file. Now, having done that, you have to sync your project. Now, once that is done, the next thing will be to show you how the demo application looks. So I will run the project on my emulator. My emulator is up. So basically, it's a very simple app with two buttons: select photo and remove background. Select photo basically is to select the photo you want to edit. Remove background, we remove the background using replicate. Now let's get into the code. So the main activity is the entry point for this particular application, and within the main activity we are embedding composables, and the default composable screen is the background removal screen, as you see. So you should have some level of experience with compose to follow through. I will focus on the most important part. The first part will be the photo selection. So this is the logic that handles photo selection, and what happens is that once we request a photo from the device, we save it in the view model as a canvas image. So the canvas image there is representing the white area, so the image will be placed on that white visible area. So once that is set, it will trigger the canvas image state variable here, and it will cause a rebuild of this section of the UI. Basically, this section of the UI handles the image. So we open that, you see basically it's a simple code, it's a simple composable function, and a sync image from the call library. So what it does is it loads images on the screen for us. Now, the beauty of using this approach is that we can set either a URI from Android or a URL, as the case may be. Now, having done that, the next thing will be to pass over the image to replicate, and the business logic is mostly in the view model, but let's head over to the view model. As you can see, remove background layer from image. So this is the code that handles that. I will explain this very shortly, but before I do, you see here that this function requires a byte array, but what we got from the activity for result was actually a URI. So what we did is to convert the URI to a byte array. So this is the logic I have doing that, using a content resolver that transforms that gets the URI, gets the path, and then transforms it into a byte array. I'll give reasons why we did that. Now back to remove background layer from image. We have the byte array, and the reason we are doing this is because we need to convert the byte array into a base 64 string. I will explain that why we are doing that as well. But before I proceed, I want to quickly show that this is the initialization logic for Replicate client itself. So this will initialize Replicate client once, and we pass in the Replicate API key. So this API key is gotten from the Replicate site, and I'll show you. So if you go to replicate.com, so basically you sign up here and get your API key. Now back to the code. So once you have your API key, you define your Replicate client like so, and based on how the library is structured, you have to provide a predictable to the Replicate client. So what you see here in line 43 is Replicate client.create prediction. Now a prediction is created when you interact with the model, and the details of that prediction is provided via the predictable. So as you see, BG remover is a predictable, and basically a predictable describes the model ID, and the inputs. So basically that's what a predictable does. It is an interface you implement to provide these details, which will be passed on to the Replicate client. Now over here you see string. String here is defining the output type from the model. So the output type for us will be a string URL of the image that has been edited. Back to line 38, once we have the byte array, we want to convert it to a string because this particular model handles the image as either a URL or a data URI, and because we are getting the image from the local device, all we have is the actual binary data, which is the file, in this case the image. And to convert it to a data URI, we construct it in this format. We build the data URI using this main type and the encoded image, which is the base 64 string. Now with this approach, we can conveniently pass this data URI as an image here, because the image is expected to be a string. And once we do that, we can then interact with the Replicate library to provide the output. Now the await here is saying that we want to wait for the result so that we can proceed to the next thing, right? So once the result is ready, we call .output, which will be the string type we've specified here. Having the output, we will emit that to the canvas image. That will be to the UI. So we'll emit that to the UI, that is the canvas image, which will then render it on the UI here. So having done that, let's have a test of what this is. Alright, so I'll select a photo, and then I'll click on remove background. It will begin to do its work in the background. As you can see, the progress indicator. So let's give it some time to interact with Replicate and then return the result for us. Alright, it is done. As you can see, Replicate has done the background removal, so we have the image without the background. So this is just one use case of Replicate-Kotlin. You can use it to do a whole number of things. So get them to GitHub and start using Replicate-Kotlin for your projects. Thank you.